special about the Camino is all the people that you meet along the way. It's not something that you have to go and be super prepared for. That's the beauty. A lot of people say like, it's not coincidence, that's just the spirit of the Camino. If everyone does the Camino, they come out a better person. We're considering our team around us, we're considering the people, and hearing what they have to say. I think if I did it again, I'd want to do the full Camino by myself with nothing planned. I'd want to go, because now that I've done it twice, I kind of understand. He wrote The Alchemist, and he also wrote The Pilgrimage, those two books, and I just finished reading The Alchemist, and that book is kind of changing my life. I love it. And so reading it makes me want to do it again. I need to understand that everyone has their own path, but we're all on the same, well, everyone has their own journey, but we're all on the same path, you know?
Hey, hello, Pilgrims. Today we have with us Jordi, who has made 2 Caminos, and we would like to hear from him how was his experience. So tell us, Jordi. So how were those Caminos that you made? So can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so it was great. I've done 2 Caminos so far, and both of them have been absolutely amazing. I know if anyone is curious about the Camino when they're doing research and they're finding this podcast, they're probably interested in the Camino. And any type of encouragement that you've already seen online or from other people is absolutely correct. And that's what I felt like. It was an amazing experience. But they were both sort of 2 different things. So I'm excited to kind of break down how each one was and my experiences from both.
Okay, and what was the name of the Caminos that you walk?
Yeah, so I did 2 Caminos. I did my first Camino was the French way. And so I started in Leon. I went with my mother and my best friend. She had the original idea of doing the Camino and said she had done it like 3 times already and was saying how much she loved it and that I needed to do it and I needed to join her and the next one. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. And I told my friend Kunal about it and he was like, dude, I want to join you. And so he came and we did that one. That one was last year. We did that one in May last year. And this year we did our second one. Our meaning Kunal and I. So me, Kunal, his brother, and our friend Denny, our group of 4, we did the Portuguese way. And so we went from Porto, walked all the way to Santiago, and then eventually we did Finisterre as well.
Okay. And when you compare those 2 Caminos that you walk, do you see that are too many differences? What would you say to someone that have not done any Caminos?
I think there are so many differences. I think if you're going to do the Camino, I would recommend doing the French way first, because that one kind of has the spirit of the Camino that people talk about. And you'll definitely see it, at least once you get to Sadia. There's all the people there and it's great. And even before reaching Sadia, if you guys don't know, is it's the place in Spain that is 100 kilometers away. So as soon as you get there, there's a lot more people that start the Camino there, and it gets really, really popular. But all of the time before that, so from Leon or from Saint Jean, from wherever you start, is a really, really magical experience because you're in a specific part of the Camino, whether you're in the mountains of the Pyrenees or you're in the Meseta or you're like walking through Galicia. Each part of it is different, is incredible. But in the Portuguese, it's different because there's not that many people. So as you go, and I'm sure you know, Efrain, like a lot of it is the people that you meet, and you end up talking to people as you go by, and that's what's really special about the Camino is all the people that you meet along the way. In the French way, you meet a lot of people, or there's a lot of people to meet, but then when you're doing the Portuguese, since there's less, you end up talking less, and there's a lot of kind of solemn moments where you're alone walking, which I really liked because a big part of the Camino for me was the meditation of it. Like instead of listening to music, I don't know if you listen to music or do podcasts during it, but I just decided I'm not gonna do anything. So I just walked, and whatever thoughts came to my mind, I just let them come, and I was like, I'll just think the whole time. And my friends and I, we had our conversations, and we tried to speak to people that were walking by, but we got kind of unlucky with how many people we met. It wasn't that many. But I would pay attention to the rocks under my feet and what it sounded like, what it felt like to walk on them, all the leaves that we were walking by, the sky, the temperature, the sweat running down my hand. I would pay attention to everything and
Okay.
sort of meditate as I was walking. And so that was a lot easier. Not easier, but I felt it more on the Portuguese because there was less people. But I think the French way is definitely more of the traditional Camino that people are used to hearing about online, and that's probably the one that I would recommend.
Okay. And when you say you walk from Lugo to Santiago,
We walked
uh,
from Leon.
I'm sorry, Leon. Do you remember how many kilometers did you walk?
We walked 319 on the first one, and
And
then yeah, and then from Porto, which was the second one in Portuguese, we did 290 to Santiago, and then we did more than that because we combined different routes. Like as you know, there's
okay,
I was telling you there was the central route that you can take, there's the coastal route, and then um there's the spiritual variant. And so we
okay,
did a combination of those as we went up. And so it was a bit longer than 290 to Santiago. It was probably 320. And then we did to Finisterre on this last one.
okay.
And that
So
one
that means
added
that
like an extra 100.
yeah, you went to the end of the world
The
like it
very
was
end.
in the past.
Have you ever
Yeah.
been to Finisterre?
Yeah, I was last year there. It's amazing. And when you are like over the rocks and you see the ocean,
Uh-huh.
that's a beautiful view.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. Getting to Santiago is one thing. It's very emotional seeing there with the cathedral and with all the pilgrims sitting down in the plaza. But when you get to the end, like it's literally there is nowhere else to walk. It is water, right? It is
Yeah.
so it's just incredible. Yeah,
Yeah, and
I'm
the
getting goosebumps.
lighthouse. And there is a
Mhm.
hotel where is the lighthouse, very close to the lighthouse. Have you seen the
Mhm.
hotel?
The hotel, the very fancy restaurant, all the way on the tip of the rock. Yeah, the hotel. Yeah, yeah, with the lighthouse.
Yeah. So and those Camino, what would you say a memory that you have, something that happened to you that you say, wow, this is amazing when you were walking?
I think the biggest one that I keep thinking about every time someone asks me about the Camino, I told him that I watched a cat give birth at one of the albergues, and
Okay,
I was not expecting that at all. I mean, there's many of other, you know, crazy moments. Everything is so coincidental, right? A lot of people will say like it's not coincidence, that's just the spirit of the Camino. Like, you know, if you're thinking about your mom and your mom loved roses, you're gonna walk by a big field of roses. Like it just happens. But something that was really funny was we were at this albergue on the French way, um, which was Casa Fernanda. If anyone has
okay,
any plans to do the Portuguese route and you want to plan that one, I would recommend Casa Fernanda. She
okay,
does reservations really far out, so I would make sure to plan. But this is one of those albergues, and I'm sure you know, Efrain, like some albergues are like the municipal ones where there's like a bunch of beds, right? And then everyone just kind of stays there a night and then leaves. And then some of them are really intimate and you get to meet everyone and have dinner together. And those are the ones that I prefer. I think they're amazing. And so Casa Fernanda was one of those. And she was just an amazing host. And she has these animals walking around. She has like dogs and chickens and cats, right? And this one decided, since she was going to give birth, that she wanted to be around everyone. And so we were all kind of around this couch area. And the cat
okay,
came walking in and started meowing like really funny. We were like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening?" And she jumped up on the couch behind us all and started meowing even louder. We were like, "What?" And so we looked back and she was laying down and she literally was like giving birth to her kittens on the couch
okay.
that we were all
Wow.
talking at. And we were like, "What is happening?" So we're all like pulling out our phones, like recording it. Oh my gosh, this is great. This is so special. And yeah, I mean, the kittens came out great. I think she had two kittens that night. And
Okay.
yeah, I don't know, it's just wild, like, yeah, I didn't think I would ever see a cat give birth, let alone while I'm
Yeah.
backpacking on a trip in some random person's house, you know what I mean? That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So that's the cool experience. And
Yeah, and
how about
it's like the spirit of it. It's like the experience of watching an animal give birth, like watching life happen in front of your eyes, like they're watching a cat or an animal receive its first breath, and come into the world that we all live in together is so special.
Yeah. How about the gastronomy during the Caminos?
Yeah, the food is crazy. That's one of the things that I kind of look forward to, especially when you get to Galicia, when the bread gets amazing and the pantumaca and all the different Spanish dishes, especially from Portugal, because you're coming from Porto into I forgot what the town is between Spain and Portugal, but as soon as you get in, the food
Tui,
chain. Tui,
Tui and Valenza.
Tui, yep. Valenza,
Okay.
yep. Valenza and Tui. The food changes, but in Galicia, I think is one of the greatest food places on earth, and that's where you kind of end the Camino. And so you have the pulpo, you have all the different seafood. Of course, the bread is very special. The pimientos de padron are amazing. They're really common there. Um, yeah, no, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I ordered those in every single restaurant that we stop by. The
Yeah,
pimiento padrón, they are really, really, really good.
yeah, yeah. Do you have any
Yeah.
specific other dishes other than pimientos that you really love?
Well, the pulpo a la gallega, I
Mm-hmm.
like it. And so empanada gallega, I like it
Yeah,
also a lot.
yeah,
So there's a plenty of food all around.
yeah. There was this one restaurant that I remember just now that was our craziest experience going from. It was a Portuguese, and we were walking through the middle of. I don't even know. I think we were in Spain at this point, but it was one of those days where you don't really go past many stores or restaurants. You're kind of in the country, and we were thinking, okay, where do we want to eat lunch? And so we were looking, and there's this albergue that has a restaurant in it on like halfway, but they have like
Okay.
this crazy steak menu, and we were like, we want some steaks. Like that sounds great. I love a good steak. And we get there and we walk in, and it's like a Michelin star restaurant looking place. Like it looked really fancy. And we were like, oh my gosh, we're like in over our heads. Oh my God, I didn't want to stop and spend a bunch of money on food, right? But we were thinking like it's the Camino, like somehow we were led to this place and we're in front of it, like let's experience it. It's here for us. And so we did, and it was like the craziest meal we had. We got this T-bone steak, and it was like this big. It was bigger than my head, and
Wow.
it was so delicious. When they brought it out, it was like still kind of on fire. You know what I mean? It was all like fancy. And then it also came with chistorra, which is actually a Basque version of chorizo, right? I don't know
Okay.
exactly. That's what I've been told. That was delicious. They came with croquetas, with honey and mustard, and there was tomatoes with it too. It was amazing. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it was like some basic name. Um it was like Camino. I don't know, something. If I find it, I'll email you. Maybe you can put it in the notes of the podcast or
Yeah,
something. But
that's good. I stopped to a really nice restaurant. I remember it was called Buen Camino. I don't know if
uh huh.
you might stop by, but it was really nice. So the food was great. So and the experience there when you stop in any different places, the bakeries, all that. So
Uh huh.
the cafes are really good, and people are very friendly.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things too, especially in the small towns. Is people will set out these fruit stands, or they'll even set out like fruit that you can put a donativo, like you can just drop 2 or 3 euros or something and take what you want. But some of them will have a bunch of fruit, like these plums were like one of my favorite things to grab on the way because they're so red and juicy. And like the fruit experience in Europe, especially on the Camino, because everything is even more fresh, it seems,
Yes.
is so wonderful. It's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah. And what about the stamps? Do you get the stamps on your passports, the pilgrim
All the
passport?
time. Yeah, that's one thing that on the first Camino was a lot of fun. When you do the Camino for the first time, everything is new, and so you're really excited. Like I want to get my stamp everywhere. I want to go and do. And so everywhere you stop, you get your stamp. And I remember that being really exciting, collecting all the different ones. I remember having a specific or an interest in the Knights Templar, like learning about the old kind of people that would protect the Camino, and they were the soldiers of Christianity. And so there was this one guy he was like a really old man in this small hut that was blind, and he had a big line of people that wanted to get a stamp from him because he was giving the stamp on behalf of the Knights Templar, like the old sacred group. Like he was the only one that was still doing it, I think. But he was like blind, and everyone that would come in, he would take their thing and he would like look at who you are. Like he couldn't see, but he could like tell who you are, and he would like say something about you as you walked in. And you were like, "What?" It was really freaky, but it was cool. And that was like a, the Portuguese, we did a lot less of the stamps because we realized we needed 2 a day, and it was a limited amount of boxes, so we weren't as adamant to get them. But getting the stamps is so fun.
Yeah. So you get the Compostela, right?
We did, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Along with the stamps too, what's interesting is depending on the Camino that you're on, I'm sure you know because we've done different ones, or you did the Portuguese as well, but we might have started from different places. Is the book is different. So like on my Camino books, let's see, are these are the 2 different ones. So I started in Leon, and that's the one that I got, and then this is from Porto, and so there's 2 different books. And so even though
Okay.
everyone is a pilgrim, like I might have a different book from you, and even like these are my 2 different Caminos. If I do it again, I might have a third different passport book.
Oh,
But no,
that's really cool.
yeah,
Oh, that's your stamps.
yeah.
Yes, that's cool. And do you take a lot of picture when you're doing your Caminos?
Oh yeah, I'm actually a photographer, and those are some of the photos I've taken behind me.
Okay.
But I love taking photos, and so I wanted to take my camera the first time, and my mom spoke me out of it, and I was all bummed. I was like, "Oh, I want to bring my camera," but then I realized very quickly that the camera would have weighed a lot. It would have
Yeah.
weighed way too much. Like I have my film camera, and this is like metal, and if I bring that, it would be way too much weight. So I did not the first time, and I took my phone, and I took so many photos. I had to go back and almost like delete the duplicates because I was just taking everything was amazing. Everything was beautiful. Um, but yeah, I definitely took a lot of photos.
So
What was the last thing I said?
you were talking about the camera.
But this last time I actually did take my camera. I brought my Sony mirrorless camera,
Okay.
and it was light enough to where I could strap it to my bag. So instead of having to take it in and out of my bag all the time, I just had it hanging. Whenever I walk, I would just like bring it up, take my photo, and then put it away, and even do some video.
Okay.
Um, so I love taking photos along the Camino because it's so many different people that you meet that you can photograph, and so many different views and experiences. Yeah.
And how about the people that you see walking around? So were the people excited? Were sad? How do you find that the people were?
It's cool because depending on the weather or depending on the day, everyone will be a certain mood or everyone will be different moods. Like if it's typically a really hard day and you know that everyone has to climb up a certain mountain or it's a really flat day on the Meseta or something, everyone that you walk past you can kind of tell is kind of like having a rough time. But you try to bring a good mood and you try to say, hey, like buen camino. But you can tell if some people are not having a good time. Maybe you don't want to bother them or whatever. But it's cool to see because some people have a really good attitude and some people, are just kind of getting by. But I noticed that whenever I would try to speak to someone and I have a good attitude, it brings a good attitude out of them. And yeah, people tend to have they tend to open up more when you have a open attitude. Is that something that you found as well?
Yeah. I found out my majority of people that I saw was really excited about their experience.
Mm.
Uh, no matter what, so even if they have blister, if they have a pain in the knee, so they are happy. So
Yeah.
everybody that is doing
Some
the
people, yeah,
Camino is because that's something that they wanted to do.
right. Yeah, they signed up, they paid the flight, and they're like, I'm gonna do it. Even you're right, the people that have blisters or are having a rough time, you wouldn't even know that they're having a bad time physically until you get to the albergue and you see them take their shoes off, and you're like, whoa,
Yeah, yeah,
whoa, whoa.
yeah. And when you go, so you fly from Raleigh, right?
North Carolina in the United States, and we would fly. Well, actually, no. Okay, so the first Camino, I was studying abroad in Prague.
Okay.
So I took a flight from the Czech Republic to Madrid. I met my mother there. and then we took a train to Leon. I met
Okay.
my mother in Cunal, and we took a train. And then the same for, or not, I guess not the same. The second one, I flew from Raleigh to Lisbon. We spent a couple days in Lisbon, and originally Kunal wanted to walk from Lisbon, which is like really far. It's like basically the entirety of Portugal and then also Galicia. But I talked him out of it, and I was like, let's just do from Porto, make sure that we have enough time and that, we don't spend too much time doing it. And so we arrived in Porto on, I think it was a train, and then we started walking from there.
Okay, and what about the marks? Have you seen are they very well marked, the caminos, or you can get easily
Yeah.
lost?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about the Camino is it's not something that you have to go and be super prepared for. That's the beauty of it. It helps to be really prepared and to be organized and to plan everything and map it out, but typically when you're going to a store, you put it into Apple Maps and you say, okay, take me there. But with this, you don't need it. You have the arrows, and it's beautiful. You walk up, you see the arrow, and you say, that's where I'm going. The path is almost laid out in front of you, and all you have to do is take the next step. And the Portuguese was very well marked. It's interesting because on the Portuguese, there's also the Fatima, which goes the other way. So it starts in Santiago and it goes backwards. And so you'll see the yellow arrows and then the blue arrows. And you have to make sure to follow the yellow arrow because if you start taking the blue, you'll be going the other direction.
Yeah.
Did you ever pass anyone that was going the opposite way?
No. Well, the one that I see was that just to go into the Central Portuguese Camino and the Coastal Portuguese Camino. But you know that then at the end those merge again back when you're getting close to Santiago. Those merge and go together again.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really cool. What would be some advice that you will give to somebody that would like to make the Camino?
I think giving yourself the more time, the better, because there could be things that go wrong, right? But also spending time in Spain, walking around, is time well spent, in my opinion. I think it's great. So if you can do 13 days, then do 13 days. If you can only do a week, maybe only do a week. But if you can do a month and you can do the entire one starting in Saint Jean, that would be it. But like a practical sort of advice that I'd give is to bring Vaseline for your toes and your heels to cover up your feet every morning, and to not be scared of saying hi, like saying hello to people.
Okay.
When you're walking and you're alone, if you're in a group, it's a bit different because you're already sort of in a social environment. But I find a lot of times when I'm alone, I'm not being social. I'm just by myself, and so talking to someone can be hard. Like I have to go make an effort out of it, but being willing to just say, hey, how's it going? And actually stopping for a second and slowing down and walking with someone for a moment is really nice. Instead of just saying buen camino and keep walking, like, slow down, take a second, say, hey, how's it going? Who are you? What's your name? ¿Cómo estás? Like, if, speaking in Spanish, even if they're not from Spain, is always good too, because it keeps the spirit of the Camino. Yeah. Do you have any other specific advice?
Well, talking about that specific that you say is when you're walking the Camino, you have time for everything. So you being walking by yourself, like you say. There are times when you are walking as a group, and even that you are as part of the group, that everybody's walking with you. There are gonna be times that you're gonna be just by yourself, and you enjoy both of those moments.
Yeah. Well, you have to.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoy both of them, but I learned very quickly to be okay with it, because in the beginning I was walking with my mom and my friend, and she would be like a mile ahead and he would be a mile back. And I'd be like, well, I mean, I'm alone. I just have to deal with it, You just gotta walk. But that's the beauty of it, is that even though you're with people, you're alone, and even though you're alone, you're with people. Anytime you're in the Camino, you're with people, because there's thousands of people doing it, and they have been for thousands of years.
Yeah, I was reading the other day. I believe that it arrived around 3,500 people in one day.
Dang.
So
wow.
And those are just the ones that that get the Compostela, because those are the ones that are counted. But there are a lot of people that even they are walking and they are not getting the Compostela, but they still count. The people say that
Yeah.
probably is about the same size that arrive daily that get the Compostela, probably around the same amount doesn't get the Compostela.
Wow. No, I believe it. I think if it wasn't for the novelty of it, like because the Compostela is a cool like new thing, it's you get this green holster for it. He's like, I'm gonna get the Compostela. But some people who have done it multiple times are like, I don't need it, you know?
Yeah, that's right. Will you make another Camino?
Probably. I haven't planned anyone specifically, but I don't know if you know the author Paulo Coelho.
Yeah,
He's a Portuguese author or Brazilian, I don't know. But he wrote The Alchemist and he also wrote The Pilgrimage, those two books. And I just finished reading The Alchemist, and that book is kind of changing my life. I love it. And so reading it makes me want to do it again. I think if I did it again, I'd want to do the full Camino by myself with nothing planned. I'd want to go, because now that I've done it twice, I kind of understand. I'd want to go from Saint Jean to Santiago to Finisterre all by myself, the whole thing, because I have yet to do that. So
yeah, that's cool.
that'd be like my next goal is to do that.
Yeah, you know that in few chapters prior to this one, I interview a person who has made already 5 Caminos. Yes,
5. Wow.
and he has walked the primitive. He has been walked the
Mm-hmm.
Norte, the
Mm-hmm.
French Camino, and he's gonna walk again from France, but not from Saint Jean de Pied de Port, even further than Saint Jean Pied de Port. In
Wow.
total, he's gonna walk about 80 days. He's gonna start
Wow.
in few days from now, and so that's gonna be an experience. But he has not just walked that; he already have walked in Alaska and to the Patagonia. So because
Wow.
he like a lot to walk,
Yeah.
so
Clearly. Wow. Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, we met some people. This guy had walked from Germany,
yeah,
where like they walked all this time. And I remember when I was in Prague, we were in Poland. We were taking a trip to Krakow, and I remember looking down on the street, and I saw one of the shells was on the street in Krakow, and it was the yellow, it was a Camino shell. And I was thinking to me, I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like people are. This is
yeah,
everywhere. This is everywhere in Europe. You can find a Camino, and you can make it somehow through Santiago in Spain." And I was blown away by that.
yeah, yeah.
There truly are. You truly could walk from anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, but the Camino is under the World Heritage list of things that are
Mm,
marvelous in the world. And the
yeah,
French Camino and the primitive Camino are on the list.
yeah. Wow.
Yes. So
I'm glad because that's yeah, the World Heritage Sites or something.
yes,
UNESCO.
yes, the UNESCO. That's correct.
Yeah.
So that's really good. So I have another question. Uh,
Hmm.
on the Camino, you often find yourself supporting or being supported by others. How do these moments of mentorship on the Camino influence how you mentor or support your team at work?
Wow. There's a level of empathy that you gain when you go through something like that. When you wake up every day and make yourself walk on your journey, on your path, and you get to your destination and realize you have to do it again and again and again, and then eventually you reach your goal. But there's a level of empathy you get for other people because you realize all the stuff that you're going through yourself. And so the people that you meet and you walk past going through very different experiences from you, but on the same path, kind of brings you closer to them. And at least for me, it taught me to understand that everyone has their own path, but we're all on the same, well, everyone has their own journey, but we're all on the same
Yeah,
path. You know, it might be a different goal in the definition of it, but it's everyone's sharing a path. And to understand that and to empathize with people, I think is really important. And so that's kind of taught me in real life, as if the Camino is some fake world, but in back in at home and working to listen to people because people want to be heard, you know, And when you're on the Camino and you have nothing but time and stories to tell and stories to hear, you spend a lot of time listening to people and you kind of understand, of course, the empathy that I was speaking of, and also what great things people have to say. Because no one normal does the Camino. Like everyone on the Camino is somewhat interesting. They have something that's different about them, and that's the beauty of it. No normal person decides to do it, right? Like when you're doing it, everyone's special. Everyone has something, and so everyone has something cool to say. And so listening to them, and you learn that everyone is interesting. And then when you come back, it's the same. Everyone has something interesting to say, and it's important, I think, to listen to them and to make your story a lot more about other people's story than it is about telling your own, right?
Yeah, absolutely, because it's about teamwork. So, and it's important to go as a team that you listen everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because
And that's the thing too, is everyone knows something that you don't.
right.
On the Camino, like I might be doing it for my fifth time, and well, this guy that has done it a lot, he probably has a lot more experience than I do. But I'm sure that there's some things that he doesn't know. Maybe it's not about the Camino, maybe it's about life, and that's where that conversation makes him learn that, right? And so anyone that you talk to knows something that you don't, and I think it's important that we can learn so many different things if we're considering our team around us, we're considering the people, and hearing what they have to say.
Yes, that's really important. You are absolutely right. And another question is that the Camino is a physically and mentally demanding, as you know. How did overcoming challenges on the Camino help you build resilience, and how do you apply that mindset to overcoming obstacles in your career?
Yeah. So it's funny because El Camino is one step at a time. Like all you can do is walk. There are days when it is the worst pain you've ever felt in your life, or you are the most sad you have ever been in your life, or you're the happiest you've ever been in your life. But the only thing you can do is walk. You have to step. You have to do another step. And when you do another step, the next step is there, and you do it, and you do it, and you do it, and all you do is walk. And it makes it um yeah, I don't know. All you can do is walk. That's just what it is. It's like of all the bad things that are happening, let's just take the next step. And so you bring that into real life, like all these obstacles that may be coming in my way. They might seem like they're a really big deal, but I know that I've gotten over everything that's happened to me so far. Every bad thing that has come in my life, or every bit of pain, or every blister, or every amount of thirst I might have had has been overcome, and I am now where I am in a really good spot. I think I'm lucky to say that. A lot of people might not be in a good situation, but the fact that I'm breathing, and the fact that you know I'm able to sit here and just have a conversation with you is proof that I can get over all the bad things that come to me. And so in the future, when bad things come to me, I just look back and say, I just took a step when it came to me on the Camino. All I have to do right now is just get to the next thing. Just move forward, see it through, and try to have a positive attitude about it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Because sometimes in the Camino, especially, you have a lot of time. So you can think about so many things. And sometimes you think, oh, this is really difficult. But when you are on the Camino, you say, wow, that was so easy to resolve it.
Yeah.
I never can find about that. So then all that experience that you learned there, then you can bring it to your work. And you say, well, but this is not this route. Let's take a different route, and maybe we can get easier. Or let's find out
Yeah.
who else can know about this situation, and then we resolve it together as well.
Yeah. That's a good point. And a lot of times with the Camino, the most difficult days and the hardest days are followed by the most beautiful days. And to come to think of it, like now, whenever something bad is happening, just think, okay, I know this is a tough time. Something is going to come on the other side of this that is beautiful. And as long as I push through here, I can get to the other side of that, and it'll be there.
Okay. And the last question: would you recommend to walk the Camino to somebody? Who would you recommend that?
It's funny because I mean, everyone has asked me, like whenever I do the Camino, I'm telling them, all my friends, I'm like, yo, I'm doing this thing, and they're like, oh my gosh, everyone's so interested. Everyone's like, that's so cool. And then I tell them, like, you should come with us. You should come. come join us. And then they're like, oh, I can't. I have things that I can't go. That's too much for me, right? But everyone's interested. Um, but I was like, every one of the people that denied doing it would benefit from doing it. There's something that is special that comes from it. But again, it does take a certain kind of mindset and open mindedness to do the Camino and to take all that it's worth. So, you know, I say everyone should do it, but there's some people that maybe I wouldn't recommend because, there's a certain type of openness that needs to happen because there's going to be experiences that you're not comfortable with, and you kind of need to be able to be uncomfortable on the Camino. But if everyone does the Camino, they come out a better person, I think. So, given that, maybe, yeah, everyone should do the Camino, but I recommend it
Yeah,
absolutely to anyone who's curious.
and absolutely with you. I will say that everyone at some point of their life should walk the Camino at least once,
Hmm.
because they are gonna get, when they do it, they come as a different person.
Yeah.
And
And I think what I've heard too from the people talking or walking when I met them is that it kind of comes at a different time for everyone, right? So maybe there's a dream of walking the Camino and you're not able to do it right now. That's because it's not meant to happen for you right now. Like it'll happen whenever there's that moment opens up for you in your life. And then when it does and you take it, you'll realize why that opportunity was brought to you, or that it became possible for you, because you end up finding out a lot about yourself on that journey. And so for everyone it happens at different portions. Some people walk it when they're 60, when they're 80. We met a 90-year-old that was doing it. Some people walk it when they're 12, like we met a really really like a child that was doing it with their parents. Some people do it like me when they're 20, you know? So,
yeah,
yeah.
that's really, really cool. Jordi, thank you very much for your time today. And so I like a lot to have this conversation with you, and for you, pilgrims. So we appreciate your time watching us, and please include your comments on the comment sections to let us know what kind of questions do you like to be, or are invited to be answered. So thank you very much, and please follow us on YouTube and also on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you. And buen
Yeah.
camino.
Thank you. Buen camino.